What's up, everybody? It's the Sports Coder Aiden, and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be part 2 of the Last Dance documentary presented by Michael Jordan. Episode 2, these two first episodes have been insane. It's crazy to see how much information you could have on a season based on 2 episodes of a documentary that nobody really knew. Again, from the last episode, you didn't really get to see all this because I was born in 1999, so it's really interesting to see this information. Now, before we get started on all the concepts, all of the things that happened in episode 2, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really means a lot to me, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell as well, because I do upload a lot, so you will definitely get notified every time I decide to upload. So yeah, and besides that, we'll move on. Scottie Pippen was the very first thing and pretty much the main thing of this episode. It's called The Last Dance for a reason, and Scottie Pippen was at his last dance at the Chicago Bulls in this episode. It really looked like. So obviously it started off with Scottie Pippen being very unhappy, describing how Scottie Pippen was unhappy with his situation in the Chicago Bulls, how they didn't really want to re-sign him, they were planning on trading him, and he just thought he deserved more money. It goes more into detail about that later in the episode, but that was kind of the start of the episode, Scottie Pippen's journey in that season, the 97-98 season. But before that, it starts to talk about Michael Jordan's opinion on Scottie Pippen. And the one thing that really stood out to me when Michael Jordan was speaking about what a great partner Scottie Pippen was when he said they should never speak about Michael Jordan if they don't speak about Scottie Pippen. I think the exact quote was, whenever they speak about Michael Jordan, they should speak about Scottie Pippen. So that's incredibly high praise from the greatest of all time, is it not? I mean, Scottie Pippen is clearly one of the best players in the NBA in the world. So that's high recognition from a very high quality player, and there's nothing more humbling and honoring than having Michael Jordan say that about you after playing with you for so long. And we saw how hard it was without Scottie Pippen playing for the Chicago Bulls. Again, that's later on in the episode. Growing up, they decided to talk about Scottie Pippen growing up, how his family was, some very sad stories really about his family. Obviously, they weren't the richest of families. They were rather poor. They had to go play outside just so they can avoid all the controversy in their family. His dad ended up getting paralyzed after a stroke, and so did one of his big brothers. He had 12 siblings, which means his parents had 12 children, and having 2 people paralyzed in the house is obviously not the easiest way to live. So and during his childhood, he played basketball as an escape mechanism. He played basketball to basically go and enjoy himself, go and have fun without really having the controversy at home, having to deal with such terrible things happening to him, really. And that's how he became really good at basketball. He ended up becoming I think it was a cleaner at his college, and they finally gave him a scholarship after a few injuries or a few people backing out or with low grades and stuff like that. He finally got his scholarship, Scottie Pippen. He played for Arkansas, and he was very, very good. They thought that he wouldn't be the greatest player, but they said with him improving, there's obviously skill there, but with the right sort of coaching, he could definitely be seen as an NBA prospect, and he was. He killed it from Arkansas. He grew. He was very athletic. He could dribble. He was a guard playing in a rather forward position, and that's ended up what he was in the NBA as well. Growing that much, he finally made it to the NBA. Now, he got drafted by the Seattle Supersonics, I believe, and then he ended up getting traded to Chicago and landing Scottie Pippen, which was an incredible feat for the Chicago Bulls to even pull off a trade like that. Very unlikely, but of course they ended up getting the man that they wanted, which was Scottie Pippen. And they ended up moving on into the season with a very, very good team and finally a little bit of help for Michael Jordan. And Scottie Pippen, he even admitted that he was very self-believing and confident. He said he was better than Michael Jordan without even playing a game. That's what really, really surprised me about the way that Scottie Pippen was talking. Like, that's similar to MJ in a way when he said, "I'm going for that leader. That's the first place I'm going to go, and I'm going to show him the best." And within 3 games, he showed that he was the best. That was in episode 1. And now in episode 2, Scottie Pippen had the same mentality to come in to be better than Michael Jordan. And that's how these two work so well together. Michael Jordan was the star, and Scottie Pippen was the second man that was just doing all the dirty work, showing the grit, the determination, the effort, the defense, and everything to be a championship team. You need 2 players like this. And I don't think there's been a championship team where there hasn't been a player that does all the dirty work and another player that's just an absolute star. That's just how it works. And at the end of the day, that worked out for the Bulls as well, obviously. They also mentioned more about his salary. And this was bizarre to me when I saw this. He was the 122nd highest paid player in the NBA at that time, I think of all time, which is insane to me. I'm pretty sure the exact amount was 7 years, 18 million, so earning around 4 million a year. And he said in the episode that he couldn't risk gambling the money away based on negotiations. He wanted to make sure that he was settled for a very long time, and that ended up coming back to bite him. I'm not sure whether he didn't believe in himself or he just had to have the money as soon as possible for a long period of time. But he ended up getting royally screwed out of a very large paying from the Chicago Bulls or from anybody that was willing to take him. And in the end, it backfired on him massively. And this is why the traction, the heat between the Bulls management and Scottie Pippen excelled to a pretty much unbearable point. And that's all leads to into the 7th season when basically he wanted a new contract. The Bulls were looking at a trade option. And at the end of the day, when he hurt his left foot, I believe, left ankle, he decided that instead of taking the surgery in the summer after the season, after they won their championship, he was going to take the surgery in the middle of the season to send a message to the Chicago Bulls that he's very serious about this new contract. He wants to get his money, wants to get paid, and who can blame him? Like, at the end of the day, imagine someone coming to you constantly saying that you got screwed out of so much money, and by an organization that's supposed to be loving and caring of you, really valuing you as a player. Most times in the NBA today, stories like this don't happen, not to the point of Scottie Pippen's situation, at least. And it sucks for Scottie Pippen. Like, that genuinely sucks that he got screwed out of 9 times the amount he could have made at that time. It's when the NBA started kicking off. And yeah, like, it's so sad to see something like this happen to a player, and him to react the way that he did. I honestly don't blame him, but I do feel like it was in spite of the team. I don't think anything against the team in general, but he did this to send a message to the management, and there are better ways to do it, to be honest. I don't think having surgery in the middle of the season and risking your team to lose out on a championship is the best way to go. Neither is recovering or requesting a trade, which is what he did. So this was, in fairness, he did ask for a trade during this time, and the reason why was because it was a press conference with Jerry Krause, and he was basically saying that we value Scottie Pippen, but there were so much good offers out there. To which Scottie Pippen, even though he knew that this is a business, he felt extremely insulted by this. And to be honest, most players do feel insulted when they're basically saying, yeah, he's a good player, but we got a lot of good people, a lot of good trades that we would love to take. Like, that's just such a backhanded comment, such a it's like a subtle dig at someone, and if you understand it, you'd feel insulted. But he took this the wrong way, and he demanded a trade, to which Michael Jordan didn't necessarily like that. It also, during this episode, they were talking about Michael Jordan's will to win, and how without Scottie Pippen, they ended up losing a lot of games. Ended up losing 4 away games in a row. I think they were 4-4, and they were basically falling apart as a team without Scottie Pippen. But they showed Michael Jordan's will to win through his past, through his childhood, his brothers. Michael Jordan would say that he would never ever be in the situation he would be in without his brothers, without Larry Jordan and all of them. And that is a sign of greatness when you have your own family trying to push you to the point where you want the satisfaction of your father and your family, and you're not getting it. So he pushed himself every day to show that he deserves it. And that mentality went all the way throughout his career. He pushed himself every day to show people why he's the greatest of all time, and why he deserves that name. He deserves that stature, why he's considered the best in the world, why people believe in him. He ended up wanting to prove to everybody that. And his drive to win was unbelievable. They showed it in his second season when MJ ended up hurting his MJ ended up hurting his foot, a broken left foot. And they were talking about potential, like they're talking about, oh, we're gonna probably go rebuild, get a lottery pick, and MJ was completely against that, because for Michael Jordan, winning is the ultimate. Not winning on purpose, losing on purpose is the ultimate crime in the NBA. No team should be looking to lose on purpose. For them, that hurt him a lot. That people would think and say that that the Bulls should lose on purpose. And he said in many interviews that he hopes the Bulls are not doing that. They also talked about his childhood, his high school, how he got cut from his high school team, and since then on, he worked extremely hard every day to show that he deserves to be a basketball player. He deserves the recognition that his brothers got, and all of that. And like it was good. Like it showed the winner's mentality in Michael Jordan. It shows the winner's mentality that not only he had, but he showed to the team. And in that second season, they ended up making the playoffs, having one of the most historic series the Bulls have ever had in a losing effort to the Boston Celtics, where Michael Jordan put up 63 points against Danny Ainge's Celtics team just after playing golf with him. Like, that's insane to think about. He played golf with him the night before, then the day after he dropped 63 on them. Yes, in a losing effort, of course, and the loss would mean more to Michael Jordan than the points he scored, but an iconic moment to show that he is the greatest in the world at his second season, no less, was inspirational to many. And Larry Bird had very interesting things to say about that. Very interesting things to say to Michael Jordan. There's no one like him. Magic Johnson at the time, there was no one like him. He's clearly the most talented. All this when he had minutes restrictions before the playoffs. Obviously, you guys know who we're going to talk about next, the John Paxson. You guys remember him? You remember him? Who doesn't remember him? He's a photo of him then, and he's a photo of him now. You know, you know who John Paxson is. That final shot he made to send the Bulls to the playoffs. And yeah, there's so much controversy in that second season that basically gave Michael Jordan the will to, like, the ability to know that he can change the game just like that. And that also carried him over to the 97 season against the Clippers, which was the game that they highlighted, where he took over, and he had to do that because there was really no help. His aggression and his anger towards his teammates to win was only a way to show how much he cared, and maybe he couldn't talk about it properly compared to other people, especially in today's NBA. He didn't know how to express himself the right way, but it was all intended for one thing, and that's to win. We don't have to win with Scottie Pippen. He's out for now. He wants a trade and all of this. It's time to win. it's time to win without him. We're going to have to learn how to do that. And yeah, so it ended up going on to the point where they started talking about the trade between the Oakley to the Knicks and all of this for the center, and they were putting him in the position to win, etc. That's we've all heard this before, really. So it's that's news that's been publicized for a while. Obviously, Oakley was great friends with Michael Jordan, and he was a very good player as well, but it just wasn't what the Bulls needed. And it went back to Scottie Pippen, and the final few minutes was very interesting. The abuse that Pippen was giving to Krause after that press conference of him getting traded, saying that there's so many good offers. Scottie Pippen demanding a trade and saying he would never play for the Bulls again. He's already given his speech saying, if I never play here again, thank you. So he didn't want to play here anymore. People were saying he was being selfish. But at the end of the day, he had to focus on himself just as much, because the management were not focusing on him. The management were not treating him right. And the management ended up screwing him over from the very beginning, really, if you think about it. So, yeah, the guy needs to look after himself at the end of the day. Obviously, we'll know more about this. I hope we get to see more about this in the episode 3 that will come out next Monday for Australians, next Sunday for the people in the United States, from Chicago, wherever you're watching it, on Netflix, ESPN. You know where it is, guys. You don't need me to tell you. But yeah, so the Pippen, the whole Pippen scenario of just abusing the general manager for the longest time, until one point just had enough, and they both just reached an impasse, really. And we're looking to see more. Scottie Pippen wanted a trade. That's kind of how things ended off. And the quote that ended off the episode, of course, they've got to end it out in style. I'm pretty sure Scottie Pippen said, they're already writing the end for me, so why not write the end for myself? And then the series the episode kind of dwindled down. And that's how it is. That's the end of the episode. That's episode 2. That's everything, hopefully everything that I've covered. If there is anything I didn't mention, please don't hesitate to mention it in the comments. And yeah, that's it. I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe if you're new. Episode 3 of the Michael Jordan Last Dance documentary review will obviously come out when episode 3 and 4 do end up coming out next week. So stay tuned for that. Very exciting times. This documentary, I said it last episode, I'm going to say it again quickly. It's been so inspirational to me, because you all, as a Bulls fan, especially at a time when I didn't get to see these championships and see the history behind these seasons, like, I genuinely believe that I didn't believe that there was so much controversy towards the team and the management. Like, this was a broken team. That this team wasn't functioning the way it should, but yet again, they were when the time was right, they ended up overcoming everything. Like, there's so much strong messages behind this. The general manager clearly was not in the right situation with the players. The players were not in the right situation with the manager. The coach wasn't in the right situation with the management. And all of this, the players were butting heads. Michael Jordan was frustrated. Scottie Pippen was frustrated. It's just incredible to see how they can overcome all of this. We all know at the end the final result of that championship. We know the winners. So we know that they've overcome it. But it's so inspirational to see how they did it. And I'm hoping to see more. Anyway, thank you all for watching. This is the Sports Code. Have a wonderful and safe day. Take care. And peace.